got flagged for copyright for something. I'm gonna guess that it's probably because I had the GI Joe episodes just running. I didn't even realize that it had probably run through far too long. So that entire video I just recorded about how to adjust this stuff or kind of walking through what I did is going to be probably flagged and erased. So I've got 15 minutes here before the auction ends. Again, the auction ends, well, actually a little bit less than that, maybe 13, 12 minutes. So if you're coming back in, I appreciate you for doing so. And I'm going to just go ahead and run through this as quickly as possible, kind of the boards again. Again, this is the 1943 restoration to begin with. This was the one that I had done the stream for last night, where we went through, tested it, showed some of the adjustments that you could make, and then at the end of the night, I took the thing apart and had all the boards separated. And then, well, I didn't have all of them separated. They were on a giant, still in the chassis shell. So since that point, I've broken all the boards down and separated them out. And then I went through and I recorded the values on the tops of on the sides of each capacitor on the boards that I was replacing. I recorded those values, and I made a black mark with a Sharpie on the top after I did that. And then I would write that value down on just a little piece of paper. For example, like the A board here, I would write down C542, 50 volt, 10 microfarad. That's what the value was. So I would manually write that down, mark it with a black mark, and then right after that, I came back and I removed the capacitors. I'll show you, this board I've got sitting in front of me is the main chassis, and I'll just show you again it real quick. I mean, in case you're coming back and wanting to see what this, how I made this cap kit, and you just happened to catch this or the playback or joined us late. If you joined earlier, I'm sorry that I'm kind of going over a lot of the same things. So that's it. So like the capacitors would go in there. So I've removed those, and that's how I made my own cap kit. So the cap kits are going to be ready. I will talk about some other things again, because that's it. Just make the cap kits like that. About this side where all the hot area is the ones I'm changing. And then I am changing all the rest on every other board, like the power supply. Kenny asked an awesome question. It's about can I talk about the museum CRTs? What was the process like? Did they reach out to me? And I'll go through that. That'll be a perfect story here for us to talk about while I'm waiting for this auction to end on the 14N6U, which is again above my head. So the museum CRTs, that whole deal, man, that started out like in 2017 to begin with. And the way that started was I had one Sony PVM. It was a 20M2, I want to say, or a 1953 MDU, but it was a white PVM like the one in the video I did about the Bruce Nauman project, just like that. And after it sold, I got a message on eBay from someone saying, hey, I'm from the Museum of Fine Art in Philadelphia, and I want to know if you have any access to more of those monitors. And they said they specifically were looking for two of the ones that I had sold just like that, like a pair. And they needed to look the same. They needed to be white. So I said yes. I had two Sony PVM 20M2s that I had gotten pretty recently from my recycling partner / friend that sends them, business partner, sends them to me whenever he gets them. And he had sent me some, so I had a couple, and I packed them up really good, and UPS, they bought both of them, and I cut them a pretty good deal, about the same amount of money as, because they bought them off of eBay. So they bought them for about the same price as they were going for then, for a 20-inch. And I mean, it was probably $600 or something for one. So they bought two. I shipped them together, and this was the very last time I ever used UPS for my shipping, because I shipped them, and man, UPS smashed the crap out of them. They broke the bezel on one of them, and then the second one didn't look as bad, but they had cracked a board internally, and it couldn't, they didn't diagnose it right. So anyway, the way it really all went down with that is so the museum contacts me, and I mean, they waited like 2 weeks to contact me, and they said, hey, I'm sorry, these were damaged in shipping. And I tried to explain to them to keep the packaging, or I wouldn't have an insurance claim. So they, through their chain of command and over the 2-week time period, they actually threw away all the packaging. So by doing that, there was no coverage for the monitors. Now, luckily, I had a broken 20M2, and I took the bezel off of it, and I shipped that bezel to them. And then since they threw away the packaging, I was like, look, I can't give you your money back. I said, I could give you these CRTs if you pay me the shipping plus a little bit, not quite as much as you did for the first one, and then I'll send the bezel. So I did that, and so there was a guy at the museum that had to take the entire 20M2 apart, one of them, and put the new bezel on there. And then they used the second 20M2 I had, sent them as the monitor. Those were the two monitors in the clown torture video. So that was the very first time I worked with them. Then after that, they sent me a letter, which I showed in that video. It said, hey, we appreciate what you did. And they also mentioned that they were looking for 2030 monitors. And so that was the next load I took them, was 2030s. I think it was 4 Sony PVM 2030s. And I actually drove those up from Nashville all the way up to Philadelphia, and then delivered them. And I actually have footage of that too. I haven't ever compiled that into a video. So I took those up there, and they really loved those. And then I reached out to them, and yeah, like you said there in the chat, I sent them the 22-inch monitor also, or 29-inch. I'm sorry, it was a 2950. They wound up saying they needed that for a specific project, which I'm not sure if that project ever got officially put up or anything yet. I thought that it was coming in 2020, and now with all this, stuff, I'm sure they're closed. So I don't know if they'll get to do that project this year or if it'll get pushed off. But they needed that 2950 specifically, so they reached out to me. So that became something where I have gone to that museum 3 times, and each time, well, I've gone twice in person and delivered monitors. First 2 times were done through shipping, and then the second 2 times were done by driving them up there myself, which is a long way, but I did stop halfway in Virginia. That's where I was born, and I have parents and family that live up there. So that's how that is. But it was really cool. They took me behind the scenes, and I got to see a lot of things. I got to go through and take a private tour with no one else in the museum. That was kind of fun. So it was very cool. I do miss that 2950, though. That was one of the best monitors you'll ever find if you're an RGB monitor. So again, if you do win this monitor tonight, and you do get it shipped, just want to let you know on this 14N6U, again, I'm going to be including this since the bid's gotten so high. Again, it started at $50. Now it's like $510, I think, right now. Got about 3 or 4 minutes left on it. I'll be including a free set of high-quality SCART to BNC cables, and then I'll pack the thing up, and I'll make sure I ship it out tomorrow through FedEx, and I'll ship it directly to your house, since most likely you'll be home or somebody will be, unless you have to work, then I'll still work something out. But I'd like to ship it directly to the person's house who wins, and so that you don't have to get out and go pick it up at the FedEx like I thought we were doing, because so much has changed over the last week. So you asked about a claims process. No, man, they will get you big time. You cannot just sign up for the insurance and keep an order number or receipt. You actually sign something that says you have packed the item to a certain quality or standard if you pack it, and they can deny your claim if they don't get to inspect your packaging. So after you, let's see, where's the link to that? Maybe I can click that. So after you ship it, you have to have the receiver keep the packaging until they're ready to say that they're okay with it. I just put a link there in the live chat. But until there, you have to make sure that they say they're okay with receiving it, because they're going to, all right, this item just sold. So sorry, guys, I sent it a little late. All right, so it just sold, $520. Congratulations to whoever got it. Thank you. Again, if you did get it, you're going to get an upgraded set of cables. I did install a better yoke in that monitor and better, again, 100% recapped, and it's a great PVM. So again, guys, thanks for joining me. I'm sorry about the hiccup there, and I'm sorry about, the stream getting cut off. I know, I'm sorry. I got it right at the end there. So again, next time, I've got my cap kit ready, so I'm going to install the cap kit in here. And what I might do is I might go ahead and install the capacitors like in the A board, and I'll leave a couple, and we'll walk through and do a live show of just installing caps on a couple of these boards next time. We'll install the capacitors, and we'll reassemble the CRT and test it and make sure it works. That's really one of the most exciting points after you do all that, is to get that. Because right now, like I said, after the work I've done, I've got all the capacitors out that I'm changing, and I've made my cap kit first by writing it by hand, and then retaking it and typing it out, and then removing all the capacitors. This is, again, the capacitors for the A board that I've removed, and I'll save them till I'm done, and these are the capacitors for the rest of the other boards. So that's what we're going to do it for tonight. This will be probably the other one. I don't think it'll let me have the playback for it. So we'll just have to use this one as the one that's talking about, again, the condition of the boards right now, and just the auction finish up. Thanks again for joining me, everybody who showed up. I thank you very much. If you need anything else, make sure you update or you email me or leave a comment on the playback. Thanks again. Have a great weekend. I'll see you guys next time with some more retro content.